because I've seen some very different 90-degree angles. But what you can do is take one bar up, one arm up like so, holding PVC pipe above the head. From here, you can take the other arm out to the side, drop the PVC pipe down to meet, return to overhead, and that'll give you a pretty good indication when you marry it up against the bar where you should be gripping. So I'll always then look at where my index finger is in relation to the marks on the bar, and that's where I know I grip for snatch, which is one finger outside the mark. So that's something that you can do to generally get a large group of people gripping in the right position. However, you will always meet that one ogre that has a really short torso and arms down to their kneecaps. That rule isn't going to apply. Equally, if you've got someone in the room who's got hyperextending elbows or struggles to actually get a good lockout, things will need to change person to person. The wider you go, the less stability you have. The closer your hands are naturally, the stronger and more stable you're going to be, but it's also going to be more challenging on your mobility. So it's finding that happy medium for person to person, which I'm going to do for you guys in a moment. So I'm going to take the bar out the rack this way for your guys' benefit. So I know I grip one finger outside the mark. I know this is a 15 bar, but it's the same. So from here, what we're going to be doing in a minute, and for those of you that snatch under 35 kilos, you won't need a rack. You can just use a bar at that end of the room. When I'm overhead in my snatch position, what I'm looking for here is that the bar is over the crown of my head. My wrists are sat back like so, and I'm staying externally rotated. It's super important that if I was to tie a bit of string to the end of the bar, all the way down to the floor, my shoulders, my hips, and that end of the string should be going straight through the middle of my foot. This is where I'm most stable. Most common mistake that I see people making when they're in the overhead position with a snatch, the bar is too far back. The bar is too far back. Not only does it put excessive pressure on my shoulder mobility, but there's also no major joints underneath this bar now. Very difficult for me to stabilize it. My core has got to work overtime to hold on to it. Equally, if the bar is too far forward, my shoulders will have to do the same thing. So we're always trying to keep that bar over the crown of the head. Now, from here, what I'm making sure when I'm overhead squatting is that my feet are in the receiving position for the snatch. So that's just slightly outside shoulder width and toes turned out. To initiate the overhead squat, what I'm then doing is thinking about braking at the knee and the hip at the same time. I want my torso to stay upright as I descend down into my bottom position, and then I use my legs to stand up. So if you actually look at my torso, it's staying in the exact same position the whole way through the movement, okay? Now, you'll never miss an overhead squat because your legs aren't strong enough to stand up with it. You will miss an overhead squat if you go down too fast and you lose balance. So I always think about the descending phase of the overhead squat as the actual repetition, not the standing up bit, all right? And it's important that you're going down through a full range of motion. If you cannot get to a full range of motion with an empty bar, you have not earned the right to put load on the bar. You must be able to achieve the full range without load first. Once you've done that, you can then build in load. But as a general rule of thumb, what I always say with my athletes is you should be able to overhead squat your best snatch for 3 repetitions. If you cannot do 3 controlled overhead squats with the weight that you're snatching, then you do not have the strength and the stability to warrant throwing that bar over your head dynamically. And this can be a great benchmark for you when you're like, okay, my best snatch is 60 and I really want to snatch 65. I know the first thing that I need to be able to do is do 3 good overhead squats at 65 first. Tick. All right, and that's the first step in the process. If you use that as a benchmark every single time you're wanting to build up in weight, you're going to keep yourself a lot less, well, you're going to reduce the chance of you guys getting injured doing such a challenging movement like the snatch. Okay? Now, we're not going to build up super heavy on this because I'm conscious of the time and I want to teach you guys as much as possible. But what I do want to see you all doing is some overhead squats in a moment now with the bar. So if you want to use a rack, you can go in 2s and 3s in the rack. If you want to just use an empty bar at that end of the room, that's also fine too. For the guys that are a little bit bigger lifters in the room, guys and ladies, feel free if you want to add 5s or 10s to the bar so there's a little bit of load, that's fine too. We're going to spend about just 10 minutes on this, just a chance for me to see everyone overhead squat.